something that's important. People are looking left and right and saying like, well, she does this and she does this, and every picture is different. We have to remember that. The difference though is that the parents aren't leading that. The daughter wants to get better. The daughter is wanting to go out there and be able to practice and work through. Not every day are we gonna want to do it, but if pitching is something that they love, then as parents we need to guide them a little. Welcome to the Weekly Dose. My name is Jamie Southern, and this week we are going to be talking about throwing live at-bats and your weekly bullpens. So one of the top questions that I get from parents is, how much should my pitcher be throwing during the week, right? It's a common question because it is something that's important. People are looking left and right and saying like, well, she does this and she does this, and every pitcher is different. We have to remember that. So for my answer to the parents when they ask me this question, it's hard, right? I was a pitcher growing up where I'm talking probably middle school and high school. I threw in travel ball tournaments on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And I was so sore on Monday. And Tuesday was just like, okay, if I might loosen up a little bit, but I really would then go out and throw a workout on Wednesday. And then it would start up again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I had pitcher friends and teammates in college who would want to throw 6 days a week. And I think the reasoning of why they threw so much, in my mind, it was like they were almost fearful that they were going to lose what they had, right? Like, oh, I'm going to lose this pitch if I don't throw it every day. And I don't think we lose things. I haven't pitched in like a game in many years. I don't even want to know, but it's at least 13, 14 years have I been in a game. If I went out and was physically in shape enough to pitch, I'm not losing anything. Like, I know how to do my spins. I know how. I might take a little bit of fine tuning and be like, oh gosh, I got to get underneath it a little bit more, or here, whatever. We don't lose things if we have built those habits. So for a college pitcher to feel that way, it seems a little silly to me. A lot of the questions though come from younger pitchers because they're starting to build that routine and they want to know what that looks like. So I spoke with someone that they are on the younger end. They're 10 and under, and they're starting to pitch, and they're working through some things, mechanical things, and trying to build good foundation. And so they do throw like 5-6 days a week. And the difference, though, is that the parents aren't leading that. The daughter wants to get better. The daughter is wanting to go out there and be able to practice and work through certain things that she's focusing on with her glove and her back leg and all that. And so I think that's okay because she's being the leader of it. And so as parents, we're like, oh my gosh, you want to go? Let's go. You know? Now, on the other end, when it's the parents are like, you have to throw 100 pitches every day. I mean, like, to me, that I don't like that. My personal opinion, like, first of all, it becomes a task. It becomes something we have to do, 100 pitches, right? And so they're going to get burned out mentally way earlier than they should ever, right? Because it's something that they should be loving to do. Not every day are we going to want to do it, but if pitching is something that they love, then as parents, we need to guide them a little. And I remember many days that my dad was like, hey, we got to go pitch. What, you want to pitch today, tomorrow? What does that look like for you? But if I was told I had to do it every single time and every single day, right? So you know your daughter best and her personality. Some people are to-do list, checklist, right? They like to check things off. And so it's like, hey, I want you to throw 4 days a week this time because we're working on one of them is going to be with your pitching coach and we're not into games yet. So one could be on the weekend, and kind of like, don't make it where it's like this job. If they want to be a pitcher, it does take hard work, but every pitcher is different. So at the younger end, I would say a little bit more because they have to build, they're starting to learn things and process and match their mind to the feeling of their body. And that would probably, like with my daughters, if they were really serious about doing it, like we would probably go out 3 to 4 times a week. If you have a daughter that is wanting to do more, like I said, good, go for it. But sometimes you even need to say, no, we're not going to do that. Do you want to have a friend come over? Do you want to go do this? Like, give them some balance. I promise you're going to thank me later when they're in middle school or young high school. They need a balance now. Another way to think of it too is in their tournaments and in their games, right? If they are throwing on Saturday and they are throwing on Sunday, then they probably just need to throw a couple days. Monday, they're going to be probably sore. They're tired. It's been some long weekends. So maybe you go out Tuesday, or maybe you have a team practice on Wednesday and you just go before and practice. That's what we always did, right? We're already doing softball. Let's just go out and do it before practice. And then you get to find one other day a week. The benefit of doing it that way is I'm not doing softball every single day. I worked with my dad with hitting and my actual travel ball coaches, so I didn't have a hitting lesson, right? So I had a pitching lesson, and if we're thinking about them doing games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they have a hitting lesson on Monday, and then their pitching lesson on Thursday, and their team practice on Wednesday, it's like, that's 6 days a week. They're doing softball. Like, as much as you parents say, oh, well, my daughter loves it, she may, but you need to guide her into balance in her life too. So if you can tag team a pitching practice already on a softball night practice, then that gets it down to 5 days a week where she can have a night just to hang out or go be with her friends or, right? So I encourage you to kind of maybe talk to your daughters depending on what the age they are. The last thing to consider, especially for the olders, the younger pitchers don't really get sore very often because they're just so like limber and everything's still like growing. But as we get older, we do get sore. And that would be something like coming off the off season, or even like college coaches, like when the pitchers come to college, you know, we don't jump in and just say, we're throwing 4 days a week, right? Some college coaches say, hey, we're going to throw a couple times a week and we're going to build up to 4 days a week. I don't think I ever threw more than 4 days a week in college in like the off season, just to give you my opinion. And so what that looks like is if she comes out and she's pitching and the next day she's so sore, then, oh, that 30-minute workout was too much for her, right? So, hey, next time we go, we're going to do 25 minutes and, oh, she's less sore. Okay, so let's do 25 minutes again. Are you sore tomorrow? No. Now let's build it up back to 35 minutes. Is she sore? And you kind of allow the pitcher to guide you into what is a good amount of a length of a workout, right? So we've talked about the quantity in a week, but let's talk about the length. And so that kind of gives you some guidance because, you know, baseball-minded people are like, oh, I'm going to throw a 60-pitch workout. Okay, that's not as common in softball to think pitch count numbers as much as more of like a feel. And you have to think like usually your games that you're playing, some of them are drop dead at an hour 15 or whatever. So if you half that up, I mean, pitchers are throwing 35, 40 minutes if it's kind of on and off consistently. I mean, I never threw probably on average more than 45 minutes of a workout. So did I count pitches? No. To me, that seems like I'm focusing on counting my pitches instead of what I need to do to make my balls go where I want them to go or break how I want them to break. And I'm just concerned with, oh, my number of pitches. So different mindset doesn't mean like counting pitches is wrong. If you have a pitcher that's very like analytical, then that might be good for her to say, okay, we're going to go out and do this, and like she can track that. I don't think I would enjoy that, but I never did it, but it doesn't sound fun for me. Another thing to consider is that you may have one day a week is like with your pitching coach, another day is like a long workout where you're working through some hard things, you're working on your strengths. It may be a day where you go out and it's just spins, right? And you're like, we only have 10 minutes of sunlight, like let's just work on our spins and get better with that, and then do K-drill spins, and then maybe like just like a 30 feet kind of working on spins. That's something to consider. Sometimes it's just like, let's go out and stretch on Mondays after you're sore and just do some long toss and just loosen up your muscles. Remember, a workout doesn't have to be an hour every single time and you're doing the same thing. Like, really have some purpose of what that week looks like for you. Okay? You might be the number 3 pitcher on your travel ball team. And when you're the number 3 pitcher on your travel ball team, you might get in and throw 5 to 7 innings all weekend. That's not what I did, right? So maybe then on Tuesday you're not sore and you're like, hey, I want to do a hard workout. And Wednesday I want to do some spins just inside my house, like just in the living room. I just want to get something and spin that ball. And then you have Thursday where you're like, okay, I want to go out and do situational stuff. Like I want to work on facing slappers and I want to pitch to, right? And you're working, like, give yourself some purpose and the quantity will just come and happen organically when you have something to work on rather than just, we have to go out. Like I almost, not making fun of any parents because I think their intent for their daughters is so wonderful. But like I almost laugh in my head of, it's like, oh, we throw 100 pitches and we 6-7 days a week. And it's like that's just something that they have to do. Give them a focus. Say, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to work on this until you fix it and we're done. Now I'm motivated right? Every day I don't want to go. Sometimes there's times where I'm like, oh, I don't want to pitch tonight. I'm so tired from volleyball practice and all this. And so, hey, I'm going to knock this out because I want to be out there for 10 minutes, right? So feel your daughters. Like, let them be the leaders, like guide them, like give them ownership versus you telling them what to do. Because when you start from a young age telling your daughters how they're going to practice and work out and for how long and for how many days a week, they get to college and it's not great. It's not great. They don't know what they want to work on. They don't know what their weaknesses are. They have no ownership of their journey and who they are as a pitcher because they've always been told what to do. And then they get to college and they're afraid they have to throw every day. It's like, come on. And I'm trying to speak truth to you because you are building habits of how they continue to grow and feel about themselves. Like that pitcher in college that thinks she has to throw every day of the week to because she's living in fear that she's going to not have her pitches be sharp. Well, where did that start? Does she have confidence in herself? No. Right? And I'm not saying compared to myself, but it's like, hey, get the job done, get better. Are we continuing? Are our pitches like getting better practice to practice? Are they're good because we practiced a couple days in a row and then we took 3 days off and then, oh gosh, Friday was rough, right? Then we need to practice a little bit more frequently. But there's not a right answer. And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I'm telling you that if you want to develop an elite pitcher, she has to be a part of that process. She has to decide what she wants to work out. She has to decide that she wants to get better. Not being told you have to do this. Why didn't you go out? You're being lazy. That's not building confidence. That's not giving them this independence, right? She's not on the mound by herself. She's an independent person. And if you can't give her those skills during the week of how often to practice and what to practice on, then you're not really giving her those tools that she needs to be successful, confident, independent, and an elite pitcher when she's going to college. Because you're not going to be there. You're not going to be there telling her what to do, right? She's got to be able to listen, and the college coaches are going to guide them to what they need. And every pitcher's different. So she's got to find out what works for her on her own. So the second part of this is throwing live at bats. If you've heard me speak before, you know that I'm passionate about how important live at-bats are. It is something that I think in my head, and I don't understand how what I do in a game is throw to batters. Yet I am never practicing that part of the game during the weeks. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, I never thought about it that way. It is, right? And I've used the analogy before of a point guard driving to the basket in practice and being so successful at it, right? Gosh, he's good, he's smooth, ooh, nice little layup, like everything. And then he gets to a game and he has a defender, and now has some anxiety. He's getting frustrated because they're picking the ball, and he's unsuccessful because he's never practiced with the defender. So why would I go to a game and be expected to be successful when I don't ever practice having a batter and a consequence in a safe environment? Okay, so ideally you're saying, well, yeah, in a perfect world, like we would do that, but we just don't have time. Like we don't have fields. Like I get it. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying there's enough time in the day. I know that like in major cities, there's not enough fields to practice on because there's so many teams that are fighting for field time. So you just don't have practice hours to extend to do that, right? But there are cages, right? You invite a couple of your teammates that you want to get better, and you catch a couple of catchers, right? They can switch off and bat when they're not catching. The reward for being able to throw live to batters, to your teammates, is so big because 95% of pitchers out in the country do not do it. So if you want to give your daughter the biggest growth and the biggest advantage, you find a way to throw live to batters. And I'm not saying it has to be every week, but I'm saying it has to be consistent enough where she gets to try new things where her coach isn't upset, or she is being successful in a safe environment versus getting out to the game and trying to throw a rise ball for the first time and she's scared and fearful. It's like, big deal if your teammate hits it, right? Okay, get it a little higher next time, right? Start it a little lower, whatever it is. You got to be able to work on those things so she can go into that game with confidence. She's able to say, this pitch is too much on the plate. I've got to get it off. Now, I'm going to try to throw it off. Does she still swing? Oh my gosh, she's swinging at it. She's swinging at my pitch. I can do that in a game, right? Maybe you're learning a changeup for the first time and you really don't know how it works. Like, oh, why would I throw a pitch slower? And you throw the changeup to your batter and you see them swing and miss and you're like, oh, that's why I throw this pitch. I can do this in a game. It's so important. So pitch in with 4 of you guys to pay $10 for an hour so you can throw live to some batters. That is almost better than the lesson. You go to the lesson to get better and try new things, but if you can't ever practice it with a real person there, with a real consequence, gosh, I'm throwing an inside fastball and that batter's on the plate, right? Why fail? Why fail and throw 4 balls or hit the batter in a game? Do it in practice. Get over those humps in practice. Work on your weaknesses in practice. So find a way. Coaches, if you're watching this, or parents, you want to share with your coaches, like, it doesn't have to be where 9 people are shagging and there's the pitcher, catcher, and the hitter. Like, it doesn't have to be. You can figure out stations where they're running bases. You have 4 shaggers, 4 running bases, 4 hitters hitting live with a 1-and-1 count to speed it up, right? It forces the batters to swing the bat. You have a tee going on right next to it where they're hitting. And you can do that, switch it within 40 minutes, and you've done your hitting rotations. Like, be creative. Because if you want your pitchers to have an advantage over the other teams, you're going to find a way to get your pitchers to get some live. Second best thing is to do stand-ins, to do yes-nos. So yes-nos are something that we can't hit the ball, right? We're inside, or we don't have a field, but we could go to a bullpen, an outside bullpen, and we can get some batters to at least stand there and say yes, they would swing, or no, they wouldn't. It helps the batters be able to start deciding yes, that's a strike, no, that's a ball, whatever. And then it gives the pitcher some like game-like feel to say, okay, I'm going to throw this change up and it's a ball, right? It's low, but I sold it. She said, yes, it's a strike. I can see how my pitches are successful. Or, gosh, I threw that on the plate. She said, yes, she probably hit it. That was a double. Right? It's the second best thing. So maybe you don't have them pitch live every week in practice, or maybe you switch off. Every pitcher gets every other week or something, whatever it is. But you can always have the pitchers come early to warm up and start hitting first thing in practice. And that's a station where the batters put their helmet on, they can hold their bat, and they're not swinging, but they're saying yes, no. And the pitchers get to have somebody there with a confidence. They get to throw their screwball to a right-handed batter and feel like, gosh, do I need to get it more in? Can I get it more in? Ooh, she crowds the plate. Ooh, she's off. Where should I put this pitch? Right? Or Julie's an aggressive batter. I don't even have to throw a strike. She's saying yes at my balls. So now I can take that into the game to say, she's aggressive. Why am I even throwing strikes? Like, she's swinging. Give them game-like situations if you want. And if coaches don't, parents take the ownership. You can do yes-nos on your own in your backyard. I'm sure some of their siblings, there's baseball brothers or little sisters that can put on a helmet, and it's helping them. Important, right? It's important to throw live, and it's important to have effective bullpens during the week. Quality versus quantity is what I would say. We talk about in college all the time that the majority of the time pitchers might be throwing 3 to 4 times a week. You know, we have tournaments. They pitch 1 game a day, and then we have an off day, they pitch again, right? It's about 3-4 times. And that's it for the starters. If they're not a starter, they might throw 2 days. We've got to make it where it's realistic of how we practice is how they play. So building that up, if you are in the off season, to say, what does their in season look like? And then try to match it, build them up to it, right? It might be a couple days a week, 3 days, and then they're getting into like real game shape. Or maybe you throw 3 days a week, but you throw longer workouts, right? Every pitcher is different. Every lifestyle is different. Every family's different, right? I get it. You have other kids. It's hard to get out there. But take in all those things to consider what might be best for them and get different opinions. Like if you have a pitching coach, ask away, but they might say what they just did when they were growing up. So to be able to hear from multiple people lets you kind of form your own opinion and what's best for you and your daughter. The workout of the week will be posted tomorrow. Subscribe so you are filled in when we post these videos weekly. And if you haven't, join the Weekly Dose on Facebook. This is where we post the workouts of the week and the weekly videos, and we have live calls weekly or bi-weekly, and we're just able to be there for you if you have any questions, and we're just here to give you feedback. So make sure you join that so you are a part and you're in the loop. And I look forward to seeing you guys at our live call on Wednesday.